A collective flinch swept the crowd as the blinding light from the left wing flickered off. Silence reigned supreme over the assembled ponies as they continued their scrutiny of the fallen object. It was mechanical, that much they could tell by the telltale gleam of painted metal. Soup blackened the faded light blue paint on the right wing around one of the strange bulges, where an odd tangle of charred wires and clockwork sat exposed. Twilight studied the object at a distance before a hoof nudged her towards it. She turned to find Applejack behind in motion. "Well, go on. You're the one most qualified to figure out what in blazes this thing is," she whispered, as though she feared that a lifeless machine would react to her speech. Blue dye bled from Twilight's hooves as she waded into the cold water of the lake to get close enough to reach the ribbed underside of the machine. From within, she heard what sounded like an argument between two stallions. She couldn't catch much of their conversation, the sound muffled by the sheet metal, but she caught enough to understand the machine itself was called a plane, although why it was named after a two-dimensional surface was beyond her, and that it was an advanced vehicle the two occupants had to use extensively, appearing having lost one several years prior. Wishing to make her presence known and kickstart delegations, Twilight rapped 3 times against the body of the plane with a hoof, hoping to grab the occupant's attention. She did. Sounds of hurried shuffling towards the rear of the plane quickly replaced the heated discussion. Suddenly, a hatch on the left side of the plane swung upwards, before a lower portion swung outwards like a door. In the entryway stood a creature Twilight had only heard legends of. As per the mystical descriptions she knew of, it wore clothing, and was tall at nearly 6 feet in height. Judging from the crown of silver fur adorning its head and the similarly colored mustache, Twilight guessed it was much older than herself. He backed away from the doorway, allowing another human with messy brown hair take its place. The second human leapt from the plane into the waist-deep water, gasping sharply as the chill overtook him. With a slight ka-chick, he activated a small torch which bathed a small area with the same unnaturally bright light from the wing as his presumably older counterpart hung a small ladder from the bottom of the doorway. "Hello?" called out the half-soaked human. "Is someone there? Where's your knocking on the hole? We could use some help." Twilight froze. It spoke, and flew in Equestrian. What's more, I was asking for help. If it could understand her in turn, there was a lot of diplomatic ground to cover. An exciting prospect to say the least. The princesses would want to hear about this, and maybe even speak with them. She wasn't going to let this pass her. Not by a long shot. "I'm here!" she excitedly called out, having completely forgotten whatever reservations she had. The light blazed in her face, making it nearly impossible to see the human. "Oh God. Sully, you didn't keep any of that wire from Mubar, did you?" it asked, placing one of his, Lyra said they were hands, to his head. "Why the hell do you think that, Nate?" "Oh, I don't know, Sully. Maybe it's because I'm staring at a 4-foot-tall purple horse," the one called Nate shot back in a sarcastic tone. Excuse me, but I am a pony? A unicorn, to be more exact. My name's Twilight Sparkle, Mr. Nate." The light disappeared below the lake water. Nate studied the custom mirror in front of him while his brain performed a hard reboot. Brain.exe is a counter runtime error. Stopping brain.exe. Data in file C. Reality. Animals. Pony.mem. Conflicts with data from H, eyes, and H, ears. File will be truanced. Data in file C. Reality. Cryptids. Unicorn.mem. Conflicts with data from H, eyes, and H, ears. File will be tranced. Data in file C. Reality. Sentence.mem. Conflicts with data from H, eyes, and H, ears. File will be traced. Rearrange changed files within C reality to reflect on data H, eyes, and H, ears. Please rate. Rewrite successful. Restarting brain.exe. Twilight Sparkle? The mayor in question nodded politely. His mind still numb, both from the plane crash and internal crash. He slowly turned his attention to the group of gathered ponies. He began to mentally list his observations, hoping some sense could be made from it all. Okay, Nate, facts. Roughly 4 feet tall, huge eyes, and possibly brightly colored coats. Some are unicorns, some are... Wait! That one has ring. Rewrite successful. It's a Pegasus. They can talk, they have names, and they dress up. This can't be real. This is something out of a kid's show. You're alright, kid. What the hell is going on out there? Still, it doesn't mean I can't have some fun while I'm here, Nate added, allowing a wry grin to slide into place. I'm alright, Sully. In fact, come on now. I want you to meet someone. He waited patiently as Sully eased his aged frame down the splatter into the cold lake water. After making it well known to everyone within earshot how cold the water was, Sully turned his attention to the mirror as he waded up to Nate. Richard Sullivan, say hello to Twilight Sparkle. Twilight, Richard Sullivan, Nate introduced, gesturing to each of them in turn. Good evening, Mr. Sullivan, Twilight chirped, beaming at her very new acquainted friends. Welcome to Ponyville. Barely visible in the moonlight, the silver-stashed aviator's eye twitched. The rest of his face was frozen in silent shock as his tired brain tried to comprehend just what he was seeing. Horses. They're all goddamn horses. I can talk, he mumbled, massaging the sizable bruise on his forehead. Jesus, I need to lie down. Get my head straight. He, Nate, and Twilight all made their way back to dry land. A half-circle of curious onlookers formed around the nose of the still beached goose, all wanting to get a good look at the humans, but cautious not to get too close. Sully gingerly sat himself down to rest while Nate continued studying the group around him. Before long, Sully was out cold, sleeping off what remained of his headache. Nate was slightly disappointed with Sully's lack of satisfying reaction. So, Mr. Nate, Twilight began after Sully had become comfortable enough to snore. These are my friends. Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and... Hold on, where's Rarity? AJ? What? Oh, that concerned snake in the grass. Applejack's eyes traced the tail end of the rope as it slowly snaked its way ever close to the edge of the crowd. In all the confusion from the Nate's planning and Nate's appearance, Rarity found her garden had neglected to maintain her hold on the rope, and subsequently slunk into the crowd. After all, it was very unbecoming of a lady to be introduced to a guest in such garish clothing. She had been making marvelous headway toward the edge of the crowd, keeping her head low all the while to avoid recognition. Just a few more rows and she was home free. The excitement of being so very near to putting the whole night behind her was causing a tightness in her chest she just could... Oh, wait, no it wasn't. That's the rope. She yelped as she was dragged back through the crowd, but felt there was no use to fighting. She would have her revenge. Eventually. Now, though, she merely wore a look of flat, simmering loathing as she was brought back into the half-circle with Nate and Sully. And this here's Rarity, Applejack explained through another mouthful of rope. Her friendly smile faded slightly as she looked to Nate's face twisted into abject horror. That multicolored wig, those striped pants, that shirt. It could only be the one thing truly feared. Here, in this world of friendly in Queens, where nothing but pleasant greetings had been exchanged, one of them had found him. Nathan Drake, the one-man army willing to strike head-on against thousands of mercenaries, brave enough to plow through zombie hordes, crazy enough to go toe-to-toe against ferocious yetis, and cocky enough to taunt his enemies with a loaded gun held against his temple, shrieked upon laying eyes upon Rarity in her clown costume. Shut! He instinctively reached for his Par 9 as he leapt back in wild fear. Thankfully for Rarity, and all present, the gun caught on the holster, causing Nate to lose his grip. The gun clattered to the ground at Twilight's hooves, while the fear-fueled human stumbled over his own panicking feet, sending his skull crashing into the goose's solid metal keel with a resounding clunk. The world around him slowly swam into darkness before he faded into unconsciousness. Nate awoke to a splitting headache, occupying a bed which was much too small for him. He rubbed the back of his sore head as he sat up and sized up the room. It wasn't a jail, thankfully. A thought which passed once he noticed the cleaned and pressed bed covers printed with stars and moons. The miniature vanity at the opposite wall of the bed. The small nightstand nearby with a copy of The Historically Accurate History of Historical Inaccuracies Throughout History, 8th edition, sitting on top, a red pen saving a page for a later time. He carefully stood and made his way to the window on the adjacent wall, careful not to knock the telescope out of alignment. Outside the same thatched roof buildings he and Sully had buzzed the night before stood in the bright early morning light. In the streets below his second-story perch, ponies were busy cleaning up after the previous night's excitement. Then he squinted at the alarm clock perched on the nightstand, which before it was only 8:42 a.m. Wherever this Ponyville is located, a sound at the door brought his attention to Sully, his hands full of 2 heaping servings of fresh apple pie. "Ah, so you're back from the dead again, are you? Here you go, Nate. Eat up," he said while offering a plate of the delicious homemade treat. He took his and sounded a small bit, leaving a puzzled Nate standing by the window. "Really, Sully? Pie? At this hour?" "Nate, Caesar's earth, or grass," he replied through huge mouthfuls of pie. "Besides, that farmer, what's her name? Real Southern Belle, orange fur. Damn. You know who that was?" "You're thinking of Applejack, Sully," Nate corrected, shoving a sample of his own slice into his mouth. It was delicious, roughly 50 times better than any he had tasted before. Granted, the only place he'd ever had apple pie were the grungy dives and roadside diners he and Sully frequent along their long treks. But this was far beyond any other caliber. He stopped chewing, wishing to savor the unique, perfected flavors. "Ah, right, Applejack. The father must have named her." Nate choked on his pie, sending sticky cinnamon-coated apple bits flying. "Anyway, she's the one who made us this. Damn good, ain't it?" "Yeah, great Sully, just great." He looked down to find most of his shirt covered in the remnants of his perfect pie. As he began to brush himself off, his eyes fell to his holster. His empty holster. Sully noted his look of panic. "Don't worry, kid. The purple one. The Twilight Sparkler. Has your gun. She says she wanted to see how the thing works." Nate's expression didn't improve. "Why don't you calm down? It's not like she can find the goddamn thing. She spent the past hour or so dismantling it anyway." Nate didn't like the idea of a being from another world picking apart his trusty Par 9. But as long as it wasn't in any shape to be fired while out of his position, he could somewhat relax. With the relative complexity of its pieces, the only problem which he could foresee was Twilight losing the firing pin. The two continued to eat their respective pies in silence. Once all that was left were crumbs, Sully stood and bade Nate to follow. "Come on, kid. I gave you the $10 tour." "Any word from the princesses about the human Spike?" Twilight asked as she focused on figuring out the pieces Nate's device, his gun, as Sully put it, interacted with one another. It was a difficult concept to grasp, made even more so with the pieces neatly laid out on the basement workbench in front of her. Sketches and rough scribbles detailed how each piece had been found within the gun, but even then nothing seemed to click. Her number one assistant, so far only assisting in documenting her frustration, replied, "No, I haven't even gotten anything since seeing that report last night. Not even Princess Cadence has sent anything. Come on, come to think of it, she hasn't sent you anything at all. Wait, does she even know how to send letters to me? To you? No, to me to give you?" Just as Twilight was about to remind Spike that her new sister-in-law had never been taught just how to transfer letters, Nate and Sully entered the basement. "I've been speaking with them since. They ain't half bad, really. Sully, how's that you've adjusted so well to all this?" "Kid," Sully began in a flat tone, "I've seen so much unexplainable shit in the past 4 years alone. It barely affects me anymore."
"Oh, Mr. Sully, and Mr. Drake. Good morning," Twilight greeted. "How's the pie?" "Oh, Twilight, they got pie. I got mine. Didn't get any," Spike whined, displaying his age.
"Oh, talking ponies and talking lizards? This place has it all, eh, Sully?"
"Hey, I'm not a lizard. I'm a dragon. I don't do that tongue thing,"
The little Drake replied, crossing his arms in frustration and giving his best tough guy look. It didn't last long, however, as his face quickly scrunched up and his cheeks puffed out in the process of receiving the royal mail. With a wild belch, he sent a ball of flames toward Nate, which quickly materialized into a scroll with the official Camelot seal. "Easy there, Tiger. I don't need a demonstration."
What the heck was that? Oh, Spike here just got a message from one of the princesses. Celestia, by the look of it.
Twilight took the scroll, unfurled it, and began to read. "To my faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. Thank you for notifying me quickly of Mr. Drake and Mr. Sullivan's arrival. While a human's appearance in Equestria is a rare occurrence, more so with the arrival of machinery, I could not meet with them today. I have delegations with the Griffin nations which cannot be put off until a later date, and I would happily visit in my stead, but unfortunately she had overindulged in her Nightmare Night offerings, and is ill with a stomach ache. I have not yet told her of Mr. Drake and Mr. Sullivan, for I knew she would immediately want to visit. From what you have described to me, their demeanor is a pleasant one, and I see no problem with allowing them to stay within Ponyville for the next few days. In fact, you might do well to introduce them to your friends. I look forward to making their full acquaintance within the next few days. Princess Celestia." A mare happily trotted down the cobblestone streets of Camelot towards Union Station, eager to head for home in Ponyville. She had spent this past Nightmare night with her family in the glistening capital city, and while it was nice to spend time with relatives, she couldn't wait to get home. Her saddlebags were filled with all manners of sweets and confections her family had insisted on her taking home, both for her and her partner. Her pleasant jaunt was interrupted as she slammed head-on into a stallion, landing on her flank and spilling her precious cargo everywhere. "Oh, pony feathers," the stallion said as he got up, having been floored as well as by the encounter. "Are you, right, miss? I'm sorry about that. I wasn't looking where I was going." He stammered nervously, face flushing crimson after making and breaking brief eye contact. He helped her to her hooves and aided in collecting the spilled treats. Before long, all had been collected and the mare was on her way again after a few quick goodbyes. But something wasn't right. A soft rustling could be heard from the bags that wasn't there before. Curious, the mare stopped and searched her bags, only to find the parchment she knew she didn't have for leaving her parents' house. Had that stallion put it in her bag by mistake, or was it purposeful? Was it a confession of love? Sure, she was taken, but it didn't make the gesture any less cute. She unfurled the parchment and began to read. 12. We have confirmed to have made themselves known within Ponyville. Meeting with 09 in Salaton. They have intel. Then move in for disposal. Blank. The mare huffed. Not even one day after spending time with family, she was back on the clock again. Oh well. She stuffed the work order back into her saddlebags and continued her trek to the station, in a much less cheerful mood than before. At least the squads are getting more creative at assigning targets, and having fun with it, she grumbled. I guess that's all you can do when you're stuck behind a desk all day. Let yourself a not after any more than those test subjects.